Hey everybody, it's John Halpin. I'm here with Josh Katzowitz, just like every week. Welcome to the Friday edition of Pickwatch Live for Week 15. Josh and I are going to make our picks for this week's games. First, we got to talk about Chargers-Chiefs. That was a huge win for the Chargers.
You know, the second half, I was really watching it, and I was thinking to myself, man, it is such a pleasure watching these two quarterbacks go at each other.
Right?
We're going to talk about some matchups today that are going to feature quarterbacks that aren't quite this good. But Phillip Rivers versus Pat Mahomes, man, it's like big-time throws, great plays, just clutch performances. And you're like, man, I wish every game was like this.
I do too. It was tremendous. I think that was the Chargers basically making a statement, you know? The way they came back and won that game on the road, I mean, that's a tough place to win. They were just, you know, you kind of thought during the game, it's like, oh, they shot themselves in the foot a little. You know, Rivers threw that interception at the end of the first half, and you think, well, they're kind of playing them even, but they're not going to pull it off. And then they just hung in there, and the defense held after the late score. I was really impressed with the way they played. That's a legit Super Bowl contender right there.
Oh, for sure. Down by 14 points a couple different times, you know, on the road for a Thursday night game, which is really hard for those road teams to win. And like you said, in a tough place in Kansas City and Arrowhead. The Chiefs really can't seem like they do it. It seems like they don't do anything wrong. It seems like these are games they always win. You know, there was a couple of weird calls late in the game as far as the officials were concerned. I think that pass interference in the end zone was kind of a makeup call from not calling the Phillip Rivers helmet contact. But
right.
Be that as it may, they get the touchdown, which I'm not really sure was even a touchdown. It looked like he was bobbling the ball a little bit. And then they go for the two, and it's like that's exactly what you want from a coach like that. I mean, that's what you want for Anthony Lynn. That's what you want to see. You know, it's just he's got big balls for doing that. I love it.
Yep.
And it's like, even if they would, you know, it's so easy to say, well, if they don't make that play, it's a stupid move not to go for two.
Like Ron Rivera a few weeks ago. Everybody yelled at him.
Yeah. Or Vrabel earlier this season with Tennessee. I love the call, and I love that. Whether they made it or not, I love the call. And the fact they made it, you're right, Super Bowl contenders for sure. We may see these teams again in like an AFC Championship game. It's going to be so much fun.
Right. And folks, I apologize. I didn't check the tiebreakers this morning. I think I read that if the Chiefs win out, they still win the division. But the Chiefs go to Seattle next week. So not easy. All right. So last night, you had the Chiefs, I had the Chargers. So I start off 1-0. You don't. But, you know, make it up over the weekend. Overall, against the spread, Fowler's 4th. He's doing really well. I'm 21st. Josh 38th. But make your pick. Follow our picks. Make your picks on NFLPickwatch.com. You can check this show. We'll make it an audio podcast. If you're on Spotify, you can subscribe to that. You can also check Podbean. That's where we're there. You can just get an automatic notification from them. What else? We do Tuesday.
Let me just say, just because some picks are bad, like I'm 38th, that doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to what I'm saying. It's just sometimes you have to go the opposite way. You say, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about this year. Whatever he says, I'm doing the opposite. So it's still effective either way.
I was 6-10 last week. Yeah, so I'm not. You know, same here. We're here for entertainment. Damn it.
Where can you get entertainment at 7 a.m. Eastern time on a Friday? You can't get it anywhere else except for right here.
And it's 6 for Josh. He's in Texas, so this isn't early. He's getting up early for you.
5:41 every Thursday or every Friday morning, but it's worth it to talk to John Halpin every day.
Totally, right? I get it. Yep. All right. So make your picks, NFLPickwatch.com. Track everybody else's. You can sort by how people you feel have favorite experts or just fan picks, by the way. There's more than 1,700 of you making picks every week. We want to thank you for that. But you can follow your favorite people. Like Ben Volen from the Boston Globe has been killing it all year. You want to just sort Ben's picks. You look at what he's picked every week and what his trends are like, things like that. You can do it. You can sort the data all sorts of ways because our development team is making things better all the time. So you should check that out. Also, Josh does his weekly column on fun game of the week, the game that scares them, and the game to bet your life savings on. We're going to talk about those as we go along here. But that's it. Let's get to the picks. Let's start. Okay, weird schedule this week, everyone. If for your wagering pleasure, there's 2 Saturday games, which I like. I always like the weekends at the end of the season. And it turns out I don't think I have anything to do tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, I'm like, let me kick my feet up and watch a little Texans-Jets. 4:30.
What could have been
Texans by 7. 41.5 is the over/under. The Texans have a 9-game winning streak. They lost to Indy at home last week. They finally lost. The Jets finally won a game at Buffalo. Big injury news. Let's see. Not huge. Isaiah Crowell and Quincy Enunwa declared out for the Jets already. This one, I think it started at 6.5, went up to 7. It seems like an obvious Texans win. It's just I always dislike laying the points with a team like the Texans that plays defense and likes to run the ball, because the game gets contracted, and it just, especially leading points on the road. I don't know. I'll probably do it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't love it either. I think I had it at Texans at -6. That's where I saw it at. And I'm going with the Jets. We talked about it a lot. The Texans are going to win the division and be a 3-seed or a 4-seed. I guess it'll be a 3-seed or whatever, but I just don't think they're that good. And because you look at this list of teams they played on their winning streak, it's just not. None of these teams are very good.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
We talked about this last week. You should check the YouTube discussion in this particular game, because there are some haters going after you about saying this stuff about the Texans. Not that you're wrong. There's people who go, that's what everybody says. People say they haven't played anybody. They're an angry handful of people.
Well, listen, they beat the Colts which was a good win. The first game of the win streak. They beat the Cowboys, which turns out to be a pretty decent win. Then you get the Bills, the Jags, the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Redskins, the Titans, the Browns. All those teams, like, none of them were playoff teams, except maybe the Broncos, but none of those are playoff caliber teams. Then they play the Colts at home and they lose. So I'm not saying the Texans are a horrible team. I'm just saying that it's not a great winning streak, and maybe they're a little overrated. Now you got the Jets. Like I said, I think they're going to win straight up. I think the Texans will. I just think the Jets will keep it close. I think the win last week, which actually was a surprising win. I was really surprised that they beat the Bills. But Darnold was okay in his first game back after a while. The Texans are a little below average against the pass. So, I think the Jets will keep it relatively close.
All right. Yeah, you got the Jets. We both got it at 6 early in the week. Now this morning, look, on Pickwatch, NFLPickwatch.com, I see it at 6.5. But where we get the lines when Sean and the development team make the update, it'll be 7. Or at least where I saw we get the lines this morning, it'll be 7. So this is one that if you want the Jets, good for you if you waited this long, because the spread's gone up a little bit. You think they're going to keep it close? I'm not sure, but I'm going to take the Texans. So right now on NFLPickwatch.com, we have 80% of the experts going with the Texans given the points, 75% of the fans going with the Texans given the points. Josh going against the grain.
Hey, wait, so I got all those haters last week, but who was right?
You were.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. I almost went back in and left a comment, but I don't like doing that. So, like, hey guys, how you doing? All good.
You shouldn't tempt fate like that, for sure.
Right. All right. Next up, Browns, Broncos. Broncos favored by 2.5, over under 45.5. This is Saturday night at Mile High, or what used to be known as, Invesco Field at Mile High now. Dating myself. Big injury news. Denzel Ward out again for Cleveland. Not good. Not that the Broncos have a ton of good receivers right now. They have 3 rookies running around, who are talented, but they lost Emmanuel Sanders, which is a big deal for them. He didn't play last week either. The Broncos are down a couple of corners. Chris Harris out. Isaac Yiadom was out. So the Browns, as good as they've been, really good at home, not so good on the road. The only team they beat on the road was the Bengals. This seems like – I said the same thing last week. This is a respect spread for the Browns. The Browns only getting 2.5 at Denver is – respect here. I almost think it's a little too much respect.
Yeah, I don't love this spread. When I picked it was, I picked on Tuesday night. I think I picked on Tuesday night, and I think it was 3. It's a +3 at the time. So the fact it's gone down to 2.5 makes me even like the Broncos even more. Yeah, I mean, Denzel Ward is obviously that's a big blow for them. They were okay without him last week, but this could be a game for Case Keenum to do some things. I know we've been saying that all year long, like, just wait for Case Keenum to break out. It hasn't happened. Maybe without Denzel Ward in the game, this is the game for Case Keenum to do some things. And I'm being a little bit sarcastic with that, but the Broncos are still kind of on the precipice of being a playoff team. I don't know. Just last week was kind of a disaster, losing to the 49ers like that. They have a chance to make it up this week. I kind of think they will. Going into Denver is going to be tough for Cleveland. Playing in that when it's funny when you say Mile High Stadium, I think you go right immediately back to John Elway. Like, I don't think of anything else but John Elway when you say Mile High Stadium. But I mean, that is a legitimate tough place for opponents to play who don't play there very often. So yeah, I mean, the Broncos. This is kind of a weird game because I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. I just think that if it's 2.5 now, I don't see it. I think it's pretty for me. It's obvious to go with the Broncos.
Yeah, I like the Broncos quite a bit too. At this spread, I mean, I am not a Browns hater at all. I've been picking them a lot this year. I like them. I love the direction they're heading in. Getting less than a field goal on the road to a team that might be a little bit better than them, that's a little much for me. Yeah. I think this is a relatively closely matched game, but the home field's tipping it for me. And Baker's
it'll be fun to watch, but but like I said, it's a tough game because I don't have a strong feeling about it either way. But that 2.5 is just a little too little for me.
All right, so Josh and I both going with the Broncos right now on NFLPickwatch.com. 60% of the experts going the Broncos, and 62% of the fans going with Broncos, given the 2.5. So that's people agree with us on this one. Next up is Dolphins at Vikings. Vikings favored by 7.5, over under 44.5. So this opened at 9.5, now down to 7.5. Vikings short week after coming home from Seattle after that bad loss that looked like they could have had. And I was joking with Ryan on Tuesday that they got totally hosed by the officials on the field goal, on the blocked field goal. But so they come home kind of playing for their playoff lives, right? They're 6-1. They fired their offensive coordinator. Backs against the wall for the Vikings. Dolphins coming off that crazy win over the Patriots. The Dolphins, not you and me necessarily. I know I have all year. I've been looking, going, the Dolphins are bad, but the record is the record isn't terrible. I mean, they're 7-6, right? I mean, they are what they are. Much as I've been thinking all year that they're bad, maybe they're not. And with Tannehill, they've been better. They struggled more with Osweiler, but they're 5-3 with Tannehill. He's got a little bit of an ankle issue, but it seems like he's going to play. I don't know. Like, are the Dolphins? They're better than I think they are, or have thought they are. But are they good enough to keep this really close or even win in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think they're good enough to keep it close. 2-game wins. We talked last week about that Patriots game, and the Patriots have lost. Now have lost 5 of 6 the last 6 times they played Miami. They've lost 5 of them, and it's just a tough place for them to play. But so obviously the Dolphins, I feel like they have confidence with that game at home versus the Patriots. And yeah, they got really lucky to win that game because of the Miami Miracle. But still, the fact they're close with them kind of leads you to believe, well, and the Patriots probably are the best team in the AFC, or one of the top 2. Or maybe now, I guess with the Chargers, they're the top 3. But Tannehill has been pretty good. I mean, he's got pretty good stats. 67% of his passes he's completing, 16 touchdowns against 6 picks, 8 yards per attempt, which is the best of his career. So, and he's no matter what we think about quarterback wins, he's still won 12 of his last 16 starts. So maybe we should think about changing how we think about Tannehill as a kind of a guy who's not very good to maybe he's a guy who's average, at least average. Maybe he's better than average. And with this week, it's tough with the Vikings. Short week, like you said, kind of a heartbreaking way they lost last week. It feels like they should have had a chance to win that game, and the referees kind of took it away from them with that field goal block. I don't know. I don't think either of these teams are that good. But I like the Dolphins here just because. Was it 7.5? You said it was 8. When I think when
we got 7.5. It actually opened at 9, and we got it 7. It's 7.5 now. You and I got the Dolphins at 7.
Let me see what I picked straight up.
We got them at 7. That seems terrible since it opened at 9.5. I didn't pick early enough since I want the Dolphins.
I have it at 7, yeah. But I have Minnesota over Miami straight up. The Dolphins against the spread. I think the Dolphins deserve a little bit less of a spread than that. So I'm going with Miami.
Yeah, I'm going to go with them against the spread too. I think. Look, I have been on the Vikings bandwagon almost all year, and it's time for me to admit they're just not as good as I thought. Also, the offensive coordinator change. Look, I don't know if it's the right move, and I don't know if it's going to work. Sometimes things like this work in the middle of the season, but it seems like the change was made because Zimmer didn't think they're running enough. And I don't know if they're good enough to run enough. I think Dalvin Cook's really good. I think the offensive line's bad. So this team's now with Thielen and Diggs and whatever you think I think Kirk Cousins is fine. I mean, he's maybe not, I know the guys on Monday Night Football were beating him up the other night saying, hey, maybe he's not worth this money. Okay, I don't know, maybe. I mean, you're worth what you get paid, but like he's not one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, which is what he's being paid like. But I think he's good enough to help you win. Like, I think he's slightly above average if I had to categorize him. And now they want to take their bad offensive line and pound the rock. I don't know if that's the best move either. I guess we'll see. But I don't think the Vikings are enough. I think they're a little better than the Dolphins. I don't think they're better enough that I want to give a touchdown or more.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I feel the same way.
All right. So right now, NFLPickwatch.com, we have got 60% of the experts going the Vikings, giving the points. But 56% of the fans are taking the Dolphins with the points. The fans are with us, Josh.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 60% of the experts is a little. I would have thought it would have been less than that to go with the Vikings.
Yep. Okay. Next up, Raiders Bengals. Bengals favored by 3, over under 46. This is a who do you hate less game for me. Like there's no redeeming qualities about either one of them, except some random players here and there, like Joe Mixon or whoever. 2 decent games in a row for the Raiders. They had a close loss to Kansas City at home, and they beat the Steelers. It's nice. However, on the road, the only game they won is that game where the Cardinals collapsed late. So they won at Arizona, which is nothing really to brag about. Bengals, on the other hand, they've lost 5 straight. They're playing with a backup quarterback, Jeff Driscoll. They've lost 7 out of 8. I mean, the Bengals are going to – I mean, last week Joe Mixon got 31 touches. I mean, this is going to be all Joe Mixon for the Bengals. That's all they're going to do.
Yeah, that's what they should have been doing all along. It feels like.
Yeah.
I guess one thing you can say about the Bengals is they showed some signs of life last week against the Chargers, and we saw obviously what the Chargers did last night. So they got to get that came close. They've still lost 5 in a row, and they've lost 6 of their last or 7 or last 8, I guess. But they're at home. If this game was in Oakland, it may be a different story. But I'm still not sure the Bengals are that bad, or they're going to lose to the Raiders at home. I mean, they're bad, but I just don't see them being that bad. So I think that's more than anything is why I'm going with Cincinnati here at -3. But I'm also not 100% confident either.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You never want to get too confident in a bad team. Like I was last week with the Bills against the Jets.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It happens, and I do this because I do fantasy football too. I talk to people about, you should play this defense because they're playing against the worst quarterback in the league. And then the game ends and it's 27-24. You go, oh, right, the defense is bad. I forgot. The matchup's great, but the actual defense is not good. Same here. You don't want to get too confident about a bad team. With that said, Bengals for me, for sure.
What do you think the Raiders – let's talk about the Raiders for a second, just where they stand.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a couple of good games. They've shown a little bit of sign of life. Beating the Steelers that was fairly impressive. That was fine. Now they fire Reggie McKenzie. Is John Gruden's team now, no matter what? And he's locked into that long contract, expensive contract. Do you think the Raiders are going to turn it around at some point? Obviously the Reggie McKenzie thing was going to happen. I think he's done a lot of good for that organization. I don't love that call to fire him. But I guess you have to if you're going to give it all to John Gruden. Going all with John Gruden, that's what you got to do. I don't know. Where do you think the Raiders stand going into not even next season, next couple of years? What do you think?
I'm not optimistic.
No.
But right now, the trades they made. So they decided at the beginning of the season to rebuild, right? They trade Khalil Mack because they don't want to pay him. They wind up trading Cooper. But the thing is, in the offseason, they traded a 3rd-round pick for Martavis Bryant. So were you rebuilding or not? So that signaled to me some, I don't know if dysfunction is the right word, but, what's the plan? Trading 3rd-rounder to Martavis Bryant, A, that was an anti-rebuild, and B, it's just bad value for a guy who was a big risk. And if he played well, was, I think, going to become a free agent anyway. So I'm not sure I'm confident. I guess we're going to find out when they start drafting more.
Yeah.
Like that, what the trade they made. Look, for whatever Amari Cooper is doing in Dallas, the Raiders made a good trade there. Amari Cooper was going to have to get paid next year. And if they didn't want to, that's fine. I mean, you can argue now whether he's worth it, but they got a first-round pick for a guy in the final year before he's going to have to get paid a lot of money. That's good. That's good value for a team that's rebuilding. The Khalil Mack trade, maybe. I mean, some guys maybe you got to pay.
Some guys you
got more. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm not optimistic about that thing working out, but I guess the players they start to draft with all that draft capital they've gotten in return are going to show us whether I'm right or wrong.
I really don't like the Khalil Mack trade still. I think he's he's a top 5 player. You just don't get rid of top 5 players. No matter who you draft, you're not going to get that value back for a long time, if ever. And what Amari Cooper's done in Dallas, it's like, yeah, I understand you have to pay him next year, but the fact he's done really well in Dallas leaves under a coach who's not very well respected, Jason Garrett. And you wonder, like, oh, well, they can coach him up in Dallas. Maybe it's a better system for him, but maybe they could do that in Oakland. Maybe that just kind of reflects poorly on their coaching staff, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, but it wasn't just this year that he wasn't doing a lot in Oakland.
No, I know. I don't know. I'm looking at John Gruden's record as a coach, and it's just not – I mean, he had a couple of really good years. Obviously won a Super Bowl in 2002 with the Buccaneers, mostly with Tony Dungy's players. He had a little 11-5 year 2005. Other than that, it's been pretty meh. And I don't know. I haven't been impressed with what they've done this year. I'm not sure he's the right guy for them. I don't like the fact they've locked him in such a long-term contract. That organization is a mess, and it's going to be hard, I think, for them to turn it around the next couple of years.
Right. And I don't know. And I think I always when I see teams hire coaches, I always say, if let's say you really like John Gruden when he was younger. I'm always of the opinion I don't want to bring John Gruden back. I want to find the next one, But sometimes it works. I mean, it worked with Tom Coughlin with the Giants. Like when the Giants hired him, and I grew up a Giants fan, I'm like, oh, man, I know you did well in Jacksonville, but he's kind of a retread, and he's old, and it worked. So more than one way to skin that cat, I guess. But
about the game
about him either. I know some detractors would say, well, he won with Tony Dungy's guys. I don't know that that's fair or not, but he did well with the Raiders before he left for Tampa the first time. So yeah. I don't know. Like, thing is, I think I could see him being a good coach in this situation. I mean, and whether he's a good coach this year or not, I think it's hard to tell because there's not a good team. But as far as it being a GM, that's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's going to work. Just because he's he might be a good coach doesn't mean he's a good GM. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's a tough one.
There are not many coaches in history who have been good GMs at the same time. They have coaches. It's a handful of guys, and there's been a lot of guys who've tried doing that. Even the best coaches ever. Like I wrote a book on Sid Gilman a few years ago. He tried being that GM. It didn't work. He was a great coach, a Hall of Fame coach, and it didn't work as a GM.
Right.
It's just a hard thing to do.
Okay. All right. I thought I saw them reference Sid Gilman during the game last night.
I
think we were talking about Don Coryell.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Gilman was coached when they were in LA. He coached the LA Chargers. Yep. What I don't understand, this is a little bit of an aside, why he has not gotten an NFL Network a football life. Like, they're doing Tony Romo and they're doing like contemporary guys. Why aren't they doing Sid Gilman, man? I don't know. Because
people will flip through the guide and go, "Who's Sid Gilman?"
Right. That was the problem. Like with writing a book, it's like I had talked to agents like, "Don't write the book. Nobody knows who Sid Gilman is." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I wrote the book anyway." But they're right. Nobody knows who Sid Gilman is. So like, that's why nobody wanted me to read the book in the first place. Anyway.
All right. I got to check. Now I'm curious. I didn't know you did that. So I read stuff like that.
Everybody should buy that book, Sid Gilman book. You can find it on Amazon.com.
Excellent. All right.
I talked to a lot of people about that. It's a fun read. I mean, I talked to a lot of guys about Sid, and it's a fun read. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Right. So we both got the Bengals here. Right now, 53% of the experts like the Bengals. It's a toss-up for the fans, 50-50. So there you go. Ravens, Bucks. Ravens favored by 7.5, over unders 46. Lamar Jackson starts. Flacco's healthy, but Lamar Jackson's starting. The Ravens have sort of officially had a changing of the guard. the Bucks they're 1-5. Look, the Ravens run a lot. The Bucks have trouble defending the run. Seems pretty sort of a bad match for the Bucks. The Ravens defense. I mean, look, they limited the Chiefs about as well as anyone. They had them on the ropes. I mean, the Chiefs had to convert on fourth down at the end of the game to tie it. It was 20. They'd only scored 17 points until that play in the last minute. So, I mean, the Ravens defense they are the real deal. They are really, really good. And this just seems like a mismatch to me here.
Yeah, I'm going with the Buccaneers because when I saw it was +8. But I think the Baltimore went straight up. I like the Bucks against the spread. The spread's a little too much for me. I wonder if I assume Flacco will be active.
It sounds like it.
I assume he will be. I wonder if they'll kind of like pepper him in there, like they did when Flacco was starting. They kind of threw Lamar Jackson in to give him a different look, a few times a game. I wonder if they'll do that with Flacco. Not that he brings the element of like running that Lamar Jackson did that kind of changed it up. But I wonder what they'll do, and I wonder what happens if they fall behind 14-0 or 17-0. The Buccaneers offense, they're going against the league's best defense, but Buccaneers offense, if we've seen anything this year, that we've seen it can score points.
Yes.
I wonder if Baltimore falls behind early. I'm not saying they're going to go over to Flacco, but I wonder what happens. And we haven't really seen with Lamar Jackson there, we haven't really seen him fall behind like that and sees what happens because, we know they're not built offensively. They're not built to be able to come back from that now that with Lamar Jackson starting, and he hasn't shown us a whole lot in the passing game. So that's gonna be a question we have every week, I think, for Baltimore. What happens if they fall behind by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns?
Right. Not a great role for them. I agree.
Yeah. They still have a chance to win the division. Baltimore does, especially with the way Pittsburgh's collapsing. So I think they're going to win a game. The Ravens haven't lost to the Buccaneers since 2002. Just a little fun fact there. They've only played 3 times since then, but still, that's a long time. That's a long time.
Right.
I don't know. I like Baltimore here to win straight up. I just think the spread's a little bit too much for me.
Okay. It's close to being too much for me, but not quite. Teams. I don't love laying points. I said about the Texans on the road. Laying points with a team that's going to run the ball this much, and I think is only going to score maybe 24, is tough. Like I don't think it's likely that the Ravens score 38 points, right?
Yeah.
So for a team to score, let's say 24 and cover a 7.5 point spread, their defense better shut the other team down. I think at home they might. So I'm going to take the Ravens.
If it was Ravens -6, I'd probably take it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had 8. And it's just those 2 points are just a little too much.
Okay. Right now we've got 63% of the experts like the Ravens given the points. 63% of the fans like the Ravens given the points. So it's uniform there. Most weeks we say that about favorites anyway. Everybody picks favorites. Not everybody, but most games lean favorite against the spread. Cowboys-Colts. This is a fun game. Cowboys 5 in a row. We talked about Amari Cooper. He's changed their offense. Their defense is good. Sean Lee, it might be back this week. Big injury for the Cowboys. Zach Martin has been banged up. We're not sure if he's going to play. He didn't practice Thursday, so we're going to keep an eye on him. The Colts have won 6 out of 7. They beat the Texans last week. That was a really nice win. This is 2 teams kind of on the come, and it's 3 points basically. It's a toss up other than the home field. I'm leaning Colts, but I'm looking forward to watching it either way.
Yeah, this is my fun game of the week. I like Colts straight up. I like them against the spread. It is pretty amazing that one player like Amari Cooper, who hasn't been very good, who's been a little, I guess, underperforming throughout much of his career, has kind of turned the whole Dallas team around. And I remember earlier in the season, we talked about Dallas and watching Dallas, and they're like, man, this is a bad team to watch. This is just a bad offensive team, and they're just
right.
It's just bad. Except for Ezekiel Elliott, this is bad. And now all of a sudden it's like, wow, this team could do some things in the playoffs, and saved Jason Garrett's job and all that kind of stuff. It's a fun, like I said, it's going to be a fun game to watch. I like the Colts a lot. They win last week, I think, was really big. And like you said, like I wrote in the column, with Indianapolis' home field advantage kind of factor in, this game's basically a pick 'em, so it's going to be fun to kind of figure out what's going to happen. I like the Colts just a little bit more than the Cowboys here, but it's going to be a fun game to watch, and it's going to be we'll get to see whether Dallas really is kind of for real now with just that one guy on offense. I mean, who turns around in Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I basically agree with you on everything. I think it could go either way. I'm leaning Colts because of that. I like the Colts a little better as a team. The Cowboy defense, you know what? They get to the playoffs if when Irvin gets back, because he's one of their better defensive players. Their defense has been very good all along this year. They're fast, they're good. Van Der Esch has been terrific. If Lee comes back, he just adds another guy. Irvin comes back. He's been out a few weeks. Adds another really good play. I mean, their defense, their offense is good enough now to where their defense makes them a tough out in the playoffs. Like I don't want to be the team. If the Cowboys are the 4th division winner, and right now you're looking at the Seahawks would go to Dallas, I think. The Cowboys are 4th, right? I mean, the Saints are ahead, the Rams are ahead, and the North, the Bears. So right now the Cowboys are tracking toward the 4th. So we're looking at a Cowboys-Seahawks first round. I mean, that's a good game, actually.
So that is a good game. I think I lean more toward the Seahawks in that game, but yeah, it's close. That's a tough one.
Yeah, but I think, especially at home, I think the Cowboys are a tough out. And then, so if they win, we got to see who gets the home field, whether it's Saints or Rams. So I don't know.
They have played their last 3 games at home, so now they go on the road for 2 of their last 3. So we'll see. We'll see.
Right. All right. So right now we have got 55. The experts 55% Cowboys. No, 58% Cowboys, and the fans are 56% Cowboys. So America's team getting a lot of love. You and I going with the Colts. So, all right. Next up, Lions Bills. Bills currently
Finally, the matchup we don't want to talk about, right?
What's up?
Finally, the matchup we want to talk about.
Yeah. So, Bills by 2, over under 39.5. Injury-wise, Ziggy Ansah, I think, is done for the Lions. LaShawn McCoy, hamstring. We're not sure if he's going to play. Josh Allen's been running like a lunatic. He's run for, over 100 twice and 99 in the other game in the last 3 weeks. But the thing is, it's so funny compared to, I wish I could give credit for this. I think it was one of the Pro Football Focus guys put up a stat about him versus Lamar Jackson, talk about these running quarterbacks. But Lamar Jackson's rushing yards were mostly on design runs, whereas Josh Allen's were mostly on scrambles. And I saw this in the preseason. I watched, they played the Panthers in the preseason. I've talked about this before. Basically, at the first sign of trouble, he tucked and ran. It was like he's the perfect fantasy football quarterback because he runs. But real life, he's helped the Bills in some ways. He can't throw worth a lick. He's got a strong arm, but he doesn't know where. I mean, he's the Nuke LaLoosh of football right now. If you remember the movie Bull Durham, because he's very inaccurate. I don't know. I still think their defense is good. I know they were disappointing against the Jets last week, and I know the Lions last week. Do you remember how incredulous I was that the Lions were favored on the road against the Cardinals? Like I couldn't believe it. And it turns out they won. And I look back at it and I said, their losses, they had the stretch where I think they lost 5 out of 6, but they lost to a lot of good teams. So maybe I didn't give the Lions enough credit. But here, going to Buffalo, I'm going to lean Bills. And I switched my pick on this, by the way.
Yeah, I was with the Lions last week, and before I remember, I was pretty confident in the Lions beating the Cardinals on the road last week. I'm pretty confident in the Lions winning at Buffalo this week. I'm surprised you're like so adamant about Buffalo and that give them 2 at home.
This week I'm not as adamant.
They were 4.5-point favorites last week and lost to the Jets by 4. Bills are 5-8 against the spread this year. The Lions are 7-6. What does that tell you? I don't know. Not a ton, but I like Detroit here. I think they're just a better team when it comes down to it. And, are we okay with? Is Matthew Stafford okay? I have to look that up.
I think so.
What delays on him? Dude, was he injured? Did he not practice on Wednesday or Thursday?
Let me see here. Hold on.
There was some kind of he had media availability yesterday, and then they postponed it.
Okay. He was limited. He's got a back issue. Yeah.
So that's something to watch for. If Matthew Stafford isn't playing, it's a different story.
Right.
He's been limited for 5 straight practices, so obviously he's limited a little last week. Didn't really matter, but according to the Detroit Free Press, he spent so much time in the training room getting treatment on Thursday that he had to delay his weekly news conference.
Right.
So that's certainly something to look at for the next couple of days as we go into Sunday. As of now, assuming he's starting, I like the Lions, and I feel pretty confident in that.
All right. I like the Bills, and I don't feel that confident. So right now, the experts 55% Bills, fans 60% Bills. So it's close. It's 55-60. That's not a big spread. Next up, Packers Bears. Bears favored by 6, over under 45. The Bears are 6-1 at home, and the Packers are 0-6 on the road. The Packers did play decently last week in their first game post Mike McCarthy. The Bears had a huge win against the Rams on Sunday night, but Mitchell Trubisky was bad. I mean, he was really shaky. I know they won. I don't care. He was bad. And I mean, I do think this spread seems a little low because I just have been saying for weeks, I don't think the Packers are a good team. I don't think beating the Falcons by a couple of touchdowns changes my mind on that at all. I think the Bears are really good. I mean, yeah, I'm not a huge Trubisky guy, but I think they try to, they try to let him manage the game for the most part. I don't know. I just think the Bears are so superior to the Packers in general. I know they lost them in week 1. I don't want to. I can't see picking the Packers here, but you are.
Yeah, no, I'm picking the Packers. It's funny. For week 1, the Packers were 6.5-point favorites, and now they're basically 5.5-point underdogs. That's a pretty big swing.
Yep.
For 15 weeks or whatever. I wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a letdown from Chicago after that big win against the Rams. And the Packers are obviously a big time rival, and they're playing at home. Chicago is, so maybe not. I don't know. I guess I like the Packers a little more than you. But as far as Trubisky is concerned, I mean, that defense is so good that it just bails them out.
Yeah.
And you wonder at some point whether that's going to come back to bite them a little bit. And I mean, Trubisky has done some good things this year. I've enjoyed watching him play occasionally. He's athletic and he makes plays sometimes, but yeah, he's still young, and you just wonder if the Bears defense can keep bailing him out, And last week or in week 1, Aaron Rodgers played well against them. 20 of 30 for 286 yards, 3 touchdowns. So, they're not perfect, and you kind of wonder if Aaron Rodgers can do some good things again this week. You said the spread seems low at 5.5. I think it seems to me it seems a little high. If it was Bears -3 and Bears -4, I'd feel comfortable picking them. I just don't. It is 5.5, right? Is it?
I got it. The current line is 6 now. It's gone up to 6 since Pickwatch was updated.
Yeah, so I picked it. Okay, I picked it up 5.5. So 6 seems even a little. It's obviously more. Seems even a little more. Seems a little bit more high to me. Yeah, I like the Packers here, but I think I picked Bears straight up. So
okay,
you can double check that.
Right now, NFLPickwatch.com, we have got it's 50-50 for the experts, and 53% of the fans like the Packers. So some people opinion split on this game. Titans Giants. Giants by 2 at home, over under 43.5. Odell Beckham, early week sounded optimistic about his quad. Latest news is that he got an off-site second opinion on Thursday. Didn't practice. So I don't know what to make. I mean, I was going to say his presence might make me change my pick right now. I like the Giants, but I said that last week and actually did. I switched my pick off the Giants when he got scratched, and then they beat the snot out of the Redskins. The Giants, what do you think of them? Because, look, they've won 4 out of 5, and they're better than the train wreck we thought they were early in the season. However, those 4 wins in the 4 out of 5 streak over Nick Mullins, Fitzmagic, Chase Daniel, and Mark Sanchez. So how good are they?
Well, I mean, they're putting up offense, so that doesn't really matter who's on the other team as far as who's throwing the ball for the other team. They scored 40 last week against the Redskins. They scored 30 against the Bears, who, like we talked about, have a good defense. So that's good. Scored 38 against the Buccaneers, who don't have a great defense, but still, I mean, they're putting up 2 of the last 3 weeks they put up more than 400 yards of total offense. So that's good. I don't know. It's like this. It's interesting. We talked the last couple weeks about Eli Manning and whether or not it's a good thing that he's playing okay, and they're getting back into it with him kind of in command. I was reading a column this week from the New York Post, I believe, that said that bring Eli back, make him take a pay cut, but bring him back.
Right.
And I wonder if that's a legitimate option. I guess it is a legitimate option.
I think they're going to do it.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, they played well. I mean, you could see like how, if there's not a great quarterback class coming in the 2019 draft, maybe they should stick with him for another year. Just depends how much they want to pay him, or how much how much they pay him next year, like $23 million or something like that.
I think so, but they might restructure. I don't know. Yeah, he would cost them a lot under the cap next year. That's the hesitation.
Yeah. We have to look at spotrack.com or whatever to see that. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, playing with Saquon Barkley playing well, with Eli Manning playing pretty decent. It's a team that can score some points. What frightens me a little bit about this game scares out of me because the Titans have the ability to play good defense.
Right.
4 of their last 6 games, they've allowed less than 200 yards of total offense. So there's
they've been all over the place, right?
Yeah, they have. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I think the reason this game scares me a little bit is because I feel like the Titans should win the game, but I don't think they will.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of trepidation just from that perspective.
I think I'm with you on that. But right now, if you tell me Beckham's going to play, I have the Giants right now, I'm good with it. If you tell me later today that Beckham's not going to play, I don't know. I don't want to touch it. If I have to make a pick, I'm still going to pick the Giants probably, but I'm not. It's one of those things that I always say, if I'm going to pick 5 games this week, this is not one of them.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Right.
This is the thing to pick.
Okay. Right now, NFLPickwatch.com, we've got 61% of the experts have the Titans getting points, and 54% of the fans have the Giants. So there's a bit of a disagreement on that.
Yeah.
Redskins, Jags. Jags by 7.5. Over-under 36. Cody Kessler starts again for the Jags. Josh Johnson, quarterback number 4, starts for the Redskins. The Jags have been, as bad as this season has been for the Jags, they've been better at home. They're 3-3 at home. I know they lost to the Texans there. I mean, they had a bad loss to the Steelers where they were up 16-0. It looked like they saved their season. They shut out Indy a couple of weeks ago. This looks like a game to me. Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson was on his couch 10 days ago. Didn't I read a story that he learned his teammates' names by playing Madden before he came? Someone told me that. I don't know if it's true. It sounds fun, so I'm going to go with it and pretend it's true, even if it's not. The guy, he can run a little bit, but he hasn't been in the league for a while. He wasn't doing anything before last week. The Redskins are just in an awful quarterback situation. This seems like a 24 to 3 kind of deal.
Like the league's best for a couple years. Josh Johnson like the league's best third string quarterback.
Right, and now he's starting. It's just I'm not. I'm picking the Jags. I'm pretty happy to pick the Jags too. If the Redskins score more than 10, I think it'll be a miracle. Unless Cody Kessler throws a pick six, that's possible.
I think the reason. The spread's 7.5. Is that right? It was 7 before. It's 7.5 now.
Yeah.
I think the reason I like the Redskins here is I'm not sure the Jags can score 8 points. They scored 15 points combined in the last 2 weeks with Cody Kessler there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they can score that many points to even cover the spread if they have a shutout. So
yeah. It's so funny. You're looking at this. You go, 36 under. Sure, no problem.
Oh, man, this is a game that you should not watch, probably. This is a game that you can feel confident in skipping.
I want to know on this one. Hang on. I bet I know.
This is going to be like a game that's like 12-6 or something like that, or 9-3. And then, hey, if you go with the Redskins, they got it covered. It's fine.
Kevin Harlan and Rich Gannon have this game, by the way.
Mm.
They're doing the Lord's work going to Jacksonville for this one.
How much preparation these guys have to do on a weekly basis, and how many hours on how many hours in the plane they got studying in the hotel room and breaking down film and blah, blah for a Redskins Jaguars game.
I know.
Hey, that's their job. They get paid well for it, but man, they're probably
to watch 100 snaps at Cody Kessler.
It's like they're I don't know how long it takes for them to prep these games. Maybe they spend 10 hours, 12 hours breaking it down. That's a long time to spend on Redskins and Jaguars.
Yep, it is. It's brutal. It's brutal when other people are getting to watch, the Colts and the Cowboys. But, hey, it's the job, right? You woke up at 5:30 today to do this.
It's a pretty good job.
It's cool. Like this, waking up at 5:30. What better, right? It's great. We're talking about football. It's not,
We started this podcast talking about Pat Mahomes versus Philip Rivers, and here we are talking about Josh Johnson versus.
Yes. All right, so you're taking the Redskins with the points.
Yes.
All right, I'm taking the Jags and giving the points. Right now, on NFLPickwatch.com, we have got. Come on, where is it? Every time I look, there it is. 65% of the experts are taking the Jags, giving the points. 61% of the fans like the Jags giving the points. Josh going against the grain a little bit, which I always like. So let's go to Atlanta and Arizona. Falcons favored by 9.5 at home. Over under is 44. Falcons are 3-10 against the spread, and I have been picking them and picking them and picking them, saying they were going to get better. And remember 5 weeks ago, when I was going second half of the year, you watched the Falcons, and I don't think they won a game since. Other end of this one, the Cardinals have the league's worst point differential at -149. So let me see the bad broadcast luck on this one while I'm on that topic. Let's see. Fox single game. Kenny Albert and Rondé Barber getting Cardinals Falcons. So the only matchup here, Julio and Patrick Peterson, that's a fun matchup. I think the Falcons finally get off the schneid here because the Cardinals are not good.
No, I agree. I mean, this is a bad game, and that's a big spread for a bad team with the Falcons. But I think it's deserved. I think the Cardinals just suck. And I think I'm 2-11 this year picking against the spread for the Falcons. So I'm going with the Falcons. You probably should go with the Cardinals just based on my record with the line against the spread.
Right.
We're not going to talk about. Watch them listen to me when it comes to the Falcons. I say go with the Falcons, but you probably should go with the Cardinals.
There you go. There's an endorsement right there, right? Opposite. George Costanza opposite day. That's what it is. All right.
I've given up on the Falcons. I don't know.
We're both picking the Falcons and giving the points. Right now on NFLPickwatch.com, 57% of the experts like the Falcons giving the points. 51% of the fans like the Cardinals getting the points. It's interesting for me. Fans are not happy with the Falcons, I guess. Late game, Seahawks, Niners. All right, this is weird. Over under 44. This is at San Francisco. This opened at Seattle -5.5. When I saw that, I said, reasonable, I guess. It's on the road. I think if anything, maybe it'll go up. It's gone down to 3.5. Like, people are betting the Niners. I mean, they're not good.
They won last week against a potential playoff team, so maybe that's doing it. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a team with Case Keenum and 3 rookie receivers. Like, you could see that. It made sense to a point.
I don't know. Seahawks have a day less preparation because of the Monday night.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, but the 49ers are not good. So this wasn't a particularly hard pick for me to make. It's because what it boils down to is that it's one of the worst teams in the NFL versus a playoff team.
Right.
To me, that's all you really need to know. I mean, and like you said, like you wrote in this rundown 2 weeks ago, Seattle destroyed the 49ers 43-16. I know obviously Seattle was at home for that game, but I don't think there's like a huge point swing just because the 49ers are at home this week.
Yeah, I was just surprised to see the spread changed in that direction. That a bunch of people saw that initial spread and went, "Oh man, I got to jump on the Niners." That just surprised me. Like, I could see them covering and winning. I don't think it's likely. I'm picking the Seahawks, but it just made me think, that somehow it swung in that direction dramatically. So
yeah, it's a weird thing. I'm looking. It's funny. I'm looking at you'll give the against the spread stats for people. I'm looking at straight up right now for this week. And for the experts, and Seattle's at 98%. So it's not a matter of whether or not the 49ers are going to win, because I don't think anybody thinks 49ers are going to win. It's just a matter of point. But that point spread is not large enough where that you would think, oh, well, Seattle's obviously going to win, but they're going to win by 3 points or less. That doesn't make a ton of sense. So,
right. All right, the Seahawks, by the way, 4-2-1 against spread on their own. This is their final road game. They close with 2 at home. Great setup on their schedule for them, by the way, considering the way they played early. Okay, so we're both picking the Seahawks. Right now on NFLPickwatch.com, we've got 72% of the experts like the Seahawks giving the points, 79% of the fans like the Seahawks giving the points. Pats Steelers. This is a fun one. This one right now is Pats by 2.5, over under 52. Steelers lost 3 in a row. Sounds like James Conner has not practiced. We're doing this Friday morning. If you're not watching live, Friday morning, a little before 8 o'clock. James Conner did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. Sounds like he's not going to go, but I guess we'll see. Ben Roethlisberger, his ribs, they shot him up last week to get him back in the game. The weird story, they said, you wonder during the game when he came in, you kind of said, well, if he was able to come in, why didn't he come in earlier? They said they went for x-rays, but the x-ray machine in Oakland was useless. So they had to shoot him up with painkillers and wait for them to take effect before he could go in the game. So
it's like varsity blues action there.
Right. You get that needle away from Billy Bob or I'm going to kill you. Yeah. So Pats are 3-4 on the road. Their defense is struggling. I know the Steelers have been having a hard time lately. And I know that every time they get in this situation with the Pats, they lose. But I'm picking them.
You pick the Steelers?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm going with the Patriots.
Right.
I know you love talking about teams in desperate situations, and the Steelers are in a desperate situation here, losing 3 in a row. I wrote about this in my column. There was actually the lead in my column, and it's like, remember a couple weeks ago when they were 7-2-1, and how they were like one of the best teams in the AFC, and then they lose to the Broncos. Well, okay, it was Denver, and the air's pretty thin. And they lost the Chargers. Like, oh, hey, the Los Angeles look pretty good. So, I mean, I can see that. And then lose to the Raiders, and they're like, oh, damn, maybe they're just not very good anymore. I think there is, this is, you talk about teams wanting to peak at the end of the year, don't want to peak at this time of the schedule, and the 49ers are going into a big dip. And it may cost them their season. They're only half game in front of the Ravens for first place in the AFC North, and the way the schedule sets up, it's bad for Pittsburgh. It's just bad. They're going to have to do a lot of work here to get back into it. I'm not sure they're good enough. I'm not sure that the Patriots will win. As long as the Patriots aren't playing Gronkowski on defense, I think they're going to be okay here.
See, I really think the Patriots I think they're a little off. I think they're a step below their usual level. And maybe they prove me wrong in the playoffs, but I mean, they're good. I just don't think they're elite. Like one of the best 2 or 3 teams. I don't think that anymore.
I mean, I guess you can say that because of what happened last week in Miami. And aside from the miracle or whatever, they didn't play well against Miami, but they never play well against Miami. And I don't know. I'm looking at these matchups. The last time the Steelers actually beat the Patriots. They've lost at least the last 5 games, and that goes back to 2013.
Well, last year was the game where Jesse James fumbled on his way into the end zone, which was crazy. Basically should have won.
But they didn't.
Right, I know.
When was the last time they won? The last time they beat the Patriots was 2011.
Okay.
And they play. So they're like a 4-game losing streak. Yeah. Most of the time, since 1998, they've won 3 games and lost about, 9. So, like Miami goes into Miami, like New England goes into Miami and doesn't play well. When Pittsburgh plays New England, they usually lose. So.
Yep. All right. So you're going Pats. I'm going Steelers right now. NFLPickwatch.com. 77% of the experts like the Pats giving the points. 62% of the fans like the Pats giving the points. To what you said a minute ago. Favorite of these movie quarterbacks: Jonathan Moxon, Shane Footsteps Falco, or Steeman Willie Beeman?
You got to go with you saying who do you want starting for you?
Who do you like that? Well, you want Stephen Willie Beeman. You got to want starting for you.
I think if you're looking for a leader of men, you got to go with Mox. You know,
Yeah.
He's not the greatest quarterback in the world. He's certainly not going to get a scholarship in college. That's not what he's going for. He's smart, and he ends up the legendary coaches who are in the wrong. He's not going to take crap from anybody. And listen, when the game's on the line and there's some desperate call that needs to be made, some kind of, I don't know, lateral call needs to be made, he's going to make a call, and goddamn it, he's going to make it work. You go with Mox.
Go with Mox. All right. Stephen Willie Beeman. Mox wasn't throwing up on the sideline like Stephen Willie Beeman, but, you know. All right. Next up, Sunday night, right? Sunday night, Eagles-Rams. So this opened, well, I know why. All right, opened at 9.5 Rams. Now it's 11.5, over on 52. The reason is Carson Wentz is probably going to be out. Might be out for the season. He's got a fractured vertebra, which it's one of those things. Other people have had it. I think Romo had it. I think Cam Newton had it. It's the injury that it's more of a pain tolerance thing. Like you fractured bone in your back, and you go, oh no. Turns out this one's more of a pain tolerance, and maybe couldn't get worse. But the way the Eagles are going, I think they might just sit him out. Sounds like that's the way they're going. They're also without. Sidney Jones, their corner, Jordan Hicks, Timmy Jernigan, the defensive tackle. The Eagles are an injury disaster. They're still alive for a playoff berth, so which would be the only temptation to keep Wentz playing, I think. And they obviously have a capable backup in Nick Foles. I think the Rams, the last 2 weeks, the Rams played at Detroit and they covered with a late touchdown, but they scored 30, but they kind of struggled to get there. Last week, their offense really struggled against the Bears. The way the Eagles are beat up on defense, I think this is a get-right game for the Rams. I think the Rams are going to light them up.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the case. I'm actually going with the Eagles. I had the Eagles at 9, so now it's 11 or whatever. I like that pick even more. Nick Foles in a big game. How do you not love that? I'm being sarcastic a little bit, but
no, I know.
He has proven that he's as for a backup. Maybe you want him more than anybody else in the league as a backup kind of guy. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not picking the Eagles to win the game straight up, but I don't know. I guess what the Rams have shown the last couple of weeks, I'm just not that impressed by. They're really good. I'm not saying they're not, but they're a team that doesn't win by a lot. Look at their schedule. They win. These are great wins. They beat the Chiefs, but they won by 3. They beat the Seahawks, but they won by 5. They beat the Packers. They won by 2. They beat the Broncos. They won by 3. So this is not a team that scores points, but it's not a team that blows people out necessarily. I think that more than anything is why. That 11 seems pretty big to me because I'm looking. They beat the 49ers by 29 in week 7. They haven't beaten anybody. They beat the Chargers by 12 in week 3. Okay, they had some big wins early in the season, but since week 4, they haven't beaten anybody with the exception of one game. They haven't beaten anybody by 11.
Right.
So
they're 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6. So
okay, yeah,
you're right.
So they got lucky against the Lions. They would come back toward the Lions. So.
All right.
Yeah, I just think there's no question in my mind that the Eagles. I would pick the Rams to win straight up every week, every time. I just think the 11. I thought too much at 9. The fact that it's an 11 now, you're like, man, I'd pick the Eagles all day with that.
All right, I'm going Rams. We've got right now experts. 77% of the experts like the Rams giving the points. 59% of the fans like the Rams giving the points. Final game.
I wonder though, like when those picks are made, what the spread was. I wonder if that many people would like the Rams at 11.
I think it might change too. I think that's a really good point. Monday night, Saints-Panthers. Saints by 6.5 at Carolina, over under 51.5. Panthers in a free fall. They started 6-2. They've lost 5 in a row. Cam Newton's shoulders generated a lot of chatter. To be honest, the shoulder's been an issue all year. He hasn't been thrown deep. He hasn't thrown well when he has thrown deep. And it's been mostly a short passing game. As efficient as his numbers have looked, it hasn't been a downfield passing offense so much. Christian McCaffrey's been great for the Panthers, but the Saints are tough to run on. Saints, two shaky games in a row. They lost at Dallas and they got shut down. And last week with the Bucs, I mean, I know the field was wet, but they had less than 300 yards of total offense against the Bucs. I know they came back and won, and they played well in the second half. They were losing 14-3 at one point. Saints are still really good. I wonder, the Panthers, as much as they've struggled lately, as much as they've thrown their season in the toilet almost, they haven't. It's not like they've been bad. They've made bad plays and they've lost late. And I'm not making excuses for them, but I mean, they're not a dumpster fire. Going from 6-2 to 6-7 makes it look like you're a dumpster fire, and it's inexcusable that they've lost 5 in a row. But they're not terrible, and I don't want to give them 6.5 points at home.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm kind of struggling with explanations of why I feel that way. Because I don't almost think about changing this pick to the Saints. I don't know, but the fact that Carolina's at home, this is going to be the third straight game for New Orleans on the road, and they haven't played that great on the road lately. Mm-hmm. Although for the season they have played really well on the road for the most part. So you wonder if they're just getting a little tired. I mean, their final 2 games are at home against the Steelers and Panthers. I expect them to play well in both those games, but going on the road for third straight week seems a little tough. I don't know. I don't have a good explanation for why I think the Panthers are going to cover here, but I just kind of do, Yeah. I just really feel the same way.
I mean, look, there's a reason why, we've talked about before that I sometimes when I pick games, I look at teams and I go, all right, they're not going to go 15-1, so where the loss is going to come from, And I mean, this might be one of those. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have every year that there's not 4 teams that are 13-3 or better. Even if you start 10-1, you stumble late. It happens. Everybody, there aren't that many great teams. The Saints are really good. I don't know. I think the Panthers make their last stand here. And I don't know if they win outright, but I think it's a good game. And I think it's a Cam game. I think Cam's going to play well.
Who did you pick straight up?
I think I picked the Saints.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me look. Because sometimes I usually just track. Actually, my picks. Here they are. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Again, I always joke around. I know that people love watching people scroll through their computer. It's fascinating.
I know the experts say 96% of them are picking New Orleans straight up.
Yeah. With a 6.5 point spread, I'm not surprised. But yeah, I'm going Panthers against the spread.
Oh, really? Oh, against the spread.
Against the spread, yes.
Okay.
So, all right, you and I are together on that. Right now, 67% of the experts like the Saints, given the points. 73% of the experts like the Panthers, given the points. Right now, the most popular expert against the spread, Texans 80%, Pats and Rams 77%. Well, now it's 75%, so more picks are coming in. Most popular fan against the spread, Seahawks 79%, Texans 75%, Saints 73%. Toss-ups, Bears and Packers are pretty much a toss-up on both sides. Bengals and Raiders are pretty much a toss-up on both sides. And we talked about the fans earlier. 51% of the fans like the Cardinals getting the points, whereas a lot more of the experts like the Falcons. What else you got going on, Josh?
The problem in Austin right now, which is where I live in Austin, Texas, is that cedar fever is starting, which is when the cedar trees release all their pollen. It creates havoc for everybody. I grew up in Atlanta. There's no cedar in Atlanta. I didn't have allergies growing up, and it took me about 3 or 4 years living in Austin before we realized about the cedar fever. This year is supposed to be really bad, cedar fever, and it was really windy last night, so got to get those allergy meds working, man. That's what I'm focusing on. I focused on last week, getting the allergy, getting the eye drops, getting the nasal quart, getting the Allegra, and that's what I've been working hard on. So far, I feel good. So I'm working on keeping myself from not sniffling all day long. That's what I'm working on.
Good luck with that. I've been there. I struggle with it too. So not with cedar, but with a lot of things. So good luck.
You wearing Panthers sweatshirt, John?
I'm repping the home team again.
Come on, man.
I'm being a totally biased journalist is what I am. Yeah.
Next week you wear a Giants hat and everything.
I should. Next week I should wear my old I should dig up my old Lawrence Taylor jersey from when I was a kid. All right. Folks, if you have questions for us about our picks, He's on Twitter at Josh Katzowitz. I'm at Halpin37, and our main account is at Pickwatch. If you're not watching on Facebook, please like our page. If you're watching on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll have the individual game discussions there, as well as this full show will be on YouTube and live on YouTube all the time. Also, like I mentioned earlier, podcast. We'll be on Apple soon. We're on Spotify now. So please check us out. Listen there if you can. That's it. That's it for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. I'll be back Sunday, 11:45 Eastern on our Facebook page to go over the inactives, updated lines, things like that. So please come on back and check it out. I'll be back. Like I said, I'll be back then. Thanks for watching Pickwatch Live. For Josh Katzowitz, I'm John Halpin. See you next time.